So today I'm going to talk about all of the books that I'm going to read for BookRoast OWL's readathon. I didn't get to participate last year, but I did participate in the first year, so I'm really excited to be back. This year, and she may have done this last year, but I wasn't there, this year she is doing the readathon where essentially you read certain books to gain the OWLs to gain a career, which I think is a really cool mechanism for this readathon. So I am going to try to achieve my lifelong dream of becoming a magizoologist, but I'm also going to get training certificates to be an animagus for linguistics with merpeople, or merpeople linguistics, and finally to be able to legally defend fantastic beasts because people don't understand them. First, I'm going to go over books for my career. Then I'm going to go over books that I need to read for those certificates. And finally, I'm going to go over the books that I picked for the rest of the OWLs because I'm a monster and I either hate myself, love myself, want to read everything on my bookshelf. I'm not sure, but I decided to try and pick a book for all 12 OWLs and hopefully knock them all out in the month of April. I mean, we all have time to read right now, right? The OWLs that you have to read to become a magizoologist are Care of Magical Creatures, Charms, Herbology, and Potions. So I'm going to go over those first. So the first book I have is for Care of Magical Creatures. The prompt for that was to study about the hippogriff, so we needed to pick a book with a bird with a beak. I always do this. A book with a beak on the cover. It's a tongue twister. All right. So I went with The King of Crows by Libba Bray. You can see the bird beak right there. This is on my main TBR for the year. Also, I really want to finish this series. I have already started. I started on April 1st. I did not cheat, and I'm about this far through, so I'm hoping to finish it today. I'm very excited. All right, next for Charms, we were studying Lumos Maxima, so we needed to pick a book with a white cover. So I went with Room by Emma Donoghue. It's on my main TBR for the year, and it seemed like a good time to try to fit it in. For Herbology, we're studying the Mimbulus Mimbletonia. So I needed to pick a book that started with the letter M. So I went with Mindfulness, an 8-week plan for finding peace in a frantic world, because it seemed really poignant at this current juncture during the middle of a pandemic when we're all kind of frantic. And also, it's on my main TBR for the year. Why not? You stay. Finally, for Potions, we needed to study the shrinking solution. That meant we needed we needed to pick a book that is under 120 pages. So I went with Night by Elie Wiesel because it is 115. It needed to be under 150 pages, and this is 115. All right, so to become an animagus, you need to get an OWL in arithmancy, in transfiguration, and in potions. So I've already studied for potions, so I don't have to worry about that one, but for the other two, this is what I'm picking. So for arithmancy, we were studying the divine power of the number 2, and so we needed to pick a book that's like kind of outside of our normal realm of what we like to read. So I went with Salvage the Bones by Jesmyn Ward. It's on my main TBR for the year. You know, I don't generally tend toward literary fiction, so this seemed like a good choice. For Transfiguration, we're studying the animagus, so we needed to pick a book with shapeshifters in it, so I went with Night Watch. It's set in contemporary Moscow where shapeshifters, it's like literally in the second line of the description, so I was like, this is perfect. It's on my main TBR for the year, so I thought it would be a good time to give it a shot. Merpeople Linguistics certificates. But that one, you only have to read for Herbology. I'm already doing that for Care of Magical Creatures, so it's mine. And then finally, The last certificate I want to get is Legal Defense of Magical Creatures, and for that you need an OWL in Care of Magical Creatures, which I already have, and in History of Magic. For History of Magic, we're studying witch hunts, so we needed to read books that have witches, so I went with The Wicked Deep by Shay Earnshaw. I've heard a lot about this book. I know a lot of people liked it, and I already own her second book that was sent to me in an owl crate, so I'm like, I really need to read this author. People seem to like her. So those are all of the books that I definitely have to get to this month. Like, I must finish them this month. But I also want to go over the others that I picked for the OWLs that I may or may not get to, but I'm gonna try really, really hard. So for those other ones, we've got the pick for Defense Against the Dark Arts, Defense Against the Dark Arts. We're studying the Grindylows, so we needed to read a book that takes place at sea or on an island, something like that. So I went with Thunderstruck by Eric Larson because it takes place off the coast of Cornwall, Cape Cod, and Nova Scotia. It's also on my main TBR for the year, and this would be a good time to like just slowly peruse this nonfiction about like a criminal chase. Then for divination, we were supposed to pick a book randomly from our TBR. I put everything from my main TBR on the year for the year on a random generator. I just essentially asked Siri for a number between like 1 and 28, and she gave me 10. So I went with Still Alice by Lisa Genova. Okay, this is what the fates want me to read. All right then. For Muggle studies, we were supposed to read a contemporary, something that a Muggle would understand. Contemporaries are books that take place anywhere from World War II to modern day. So I went with The Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith. It was literally written during World War II, so it seems fitting. For Ancient Runes, we were supposed to pick a book that would help us study the heart rune. So it needed to have a heart on the cover. And as you can see, Cryerswara has one right here. And I got this book in an owl crate. I haven't read it yet. Just gonna go ahead and do that. And finally, for astronomy, we're supposed to be taking night classes, so we need to read a book predominantly at night. My original plan for this one, Native American Myths and Legends, would be to read it predominantly at night because I don't want it to leave the house because it's a collector's edition. But since no one's really leaving the house, now I'm just reading it predominantly at night because it's like a really fast 20 pages right before I go to bed, and that's what I'm like scheduling myself to read every day until I finish this one because it's about 500 pages. All right, so those are all of the books that I've picked for the OWLs this year. I'm really excited. I can't wait to get through most of them. They're all pretty good choices, I think. Let me know in the comments below, what are you reading for the OWLs? If you've made a video, link it below. Or if you've read any of the books, let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd love to hear your opinions. Anywho, I hope you have a wonderful reading day wherever you are.